Welcome to Dustin Cathro Book Reviews.
Hey everybody, Dustin Cathro here. Welcome back to my book review channel. Today we're going to be doing a book that I recommended on my last episode here, which is also my first episode of Wizard's First Rule. I recommended a book called Terry Goodkind's Debt of Bones. Debt of Bones is the prequel to Wizard's First Rule, and I thought, hey, why not do a book review on Debt of Bones? In the Debt of Bones novel, you have two kind of main characters throughout the novel, and that is Zed and Abby. So if you're familiar with the Sword of Truth series, Zed obviously is a huge character within the series, and Abby, not so much. So the Debt of Bones, to kind of give a little bit of a backstory, was written after Terry Goodkind had already written a few novels of the Sword of Truth series. But what the Debt of Bones kind of talks about and describes is, in essence, the coming of the boundary and how that happened and what led up to that. And so the Debt of Bones kind of unpacks the history that leads into the Wizard's First Rule. So it's kind of an indispensable book if you want to really immerse yourself in Terry Goodkind's world that he created. And so I would really recommend this book for someone that is interested in the Sword of Truth series and someone that wants to immerse themselves in the full understanding of what Terry Goodkind's trying to do. Something I think that this book does well is it talks about the creature, let's call it, the confessor. And it kind of shows the power of the confessors, or the mother confessor rather, in the Debt of Bones, and how she's very feared and kind of enigmatic in a sense. And Abby is very afraid of the mother confessor when she realizes who she sees in the white dress, when she's in the castle looking to seek Zed out, also known as the First Wizard. But Abby doesn't realize that the mother confessor is this like nurturing kind of character. And so it gives this kind of interesting perspective on at least Abby's experience with the mother confessor, who's empathetic to her situation, and I think, and also very strategic in her approach to Abby in talking to her about Zed and how to approach Zed and how to ask this favor of Zed. And so the mother confessor plays this like pivotal role in this book, but it's not like the connotations that you see in Wizard's First Rule. So that kind of gives an interesting dynamic, I guess, to the story. And I think it's interesting because it lets anyone that hasn't actually read the series, you see this mother confessor kind of character in the story, and you're like, who is this? What is this? And it kind of gives an interesting take on what the mother confessor does. And it also, the fear surrounded around that character and what the mother confessor is. There's this scene in Debt of Bones that I really like, and Zed is like at a table and all these different people are talking to him about different things, and Abby like goes up there with her thing to say about the Debt of Bones, and it doesn't even seem like Zed's like listening to her, but he's kind of looking at her, but he's also like answering other conversations all at the same time. And it gives you this kind of idea that Zed is somebody really special that can have a bunch of things going on at once, but yet be so focused on each and every single person that's presenting him with these problems and tasks at hand. The mother confessor included just people of the military and strategy, the second wizard, and also Abby. And there's all these elements in this room when she's in there, and she's so nervous and afraid, like she feels like she can't even speak above all these other characters that are talking to Zed. But Zed looks at her and he answers questions that she asks her. He's kind of like, what do you want, pretty much, and she's kind of timid, but says, the Debt of Bones, blah blah blah. But it just like, I like this depiction of Zed. He's so powerful and calculated, and can do all these things at once. When Zed performs the sophisticated spell that creates, in essence, the boundary, he is doing something that no one believes anyone has the power to do, including the lower wizards. They think that he's insane for trying to do this. he's creating this like hell that they want to put over Dahara. But Zed doesn't want to kill all these innocent people because he himself has experienced what it's like to lose his wife and his child, and so he doesn't want to do that to the Daharans, the innocent ones that he believes are out there. And so instead of releasing this like hell wall over top of Dahara, he actually just creates the boundary, which is kind of the same thing. It's like this underworld kind of portal that he creates that separates, the Midlands and Dahara. And it's interesting because near the end of Dead of Bones, after he's done this, he talks about this place, the Westland, where there's going to be no magic, and that he's gonna do this sophisticated spell again, and he's gonna separate the land. And lo and behold, as we learn in Wizard's First Rule, Zed goes to the Westland, and he no longer plays a part in the magic of the Midlands, or Dahara for that matter. So I think that's kind of an interesting take on how Zed got there. And also an interesting little side story is almost the Dead of Bones on Abby and just what that turned into and how she was able to aid him. So I think it's an interesting novel nonetheless. It's very short. It's a very low commitment read. I feel like you could read it in probably 2 hours if you were really going for it, Overall, I would say Terry Goodkind's Dead of Bones is a pretty simple and easy read and a great entrance into the Sword of Truth series. I think that anyone that is interested in reading the Sword of Truth series, it's a great place to start, and it's also a great place to just jump in if you've already read a bunch of the series or a couple of books of the series, just to add some flavor too. Something that did make me a little frustrated in the book was Abby and how she was trying to set up Zed essentially to be killed, and he anticipated it because it was kind of obvious, I guess, throughout the story. It was kind of obvious to the reader too, but like there was just something a little off about Abby, and then there was another character in there that was kind of whispering some things to her and threatening her, kind of in the back picture, and it kind of made an interesting dynamic, but you kind of have that feeling that there's something off when Zed goes with her to like do what must be done, but Zed kind of knew that was coming, and the Mother Confessor's there, and like the teamwork was cool. It was slightly predictable though. Like I said, it was a little frustrating, like seeing the obviousness of that. So, but it's okay. It's okay to have a little bit of a predictable plot line at times, for sure. Something else I actually think that's interesting is how like Panis Rahl just doesn't even show up in this novel, but he's kind of mentioned. It's kind of a negative thing and also a positive thing, because it kind of makes him look like a coward, or that he just doesn't care what happens to the Midlands at all, and he just like sends his like troops and his army out to go deal with stuff, and Mordsith and all sorts of things. And it's kind of interesting that Panis Rahl just doesn't arrive in the book. So it's kind of an annoying thing, because you think like, oh, this big evil dude he's going to show up and something's going to happen to him, but nothing really happens to him, and you don't really get to know what he's about. And if you've read any of the other books, you kind of, slightly disappointing. But, I was hoping like something would happen in Dead of Bones where I would learn some more about Panis Rahl, but so it's a bit disappointing, I'd say. Surprising that he's not in there doing something, but I know that he's trying to kill Zed, but it looks like Zed kind of beats him to the punch in some essence and separates the realm or the lands, whatever we want to call it. So I think that's kind of interesting part, that maybe Terry should have put some more detail in that. But like I said, it's such a short book. This is just a gateway into the Sword of Truth series almost. If you're enjoying my reviews, please subscribe to my channel, comment, ask questions, suggestions. Totally open to hearing what anyone has to say, and I'll try to comment when I can. My next book review is going to be on The Witcher, The Last Wish. I've read this book. This is actually going to be the second time going through it, and I'm hoping to give you guys a solid review. I'm a big fan of The Witcher. Obviously there's a TV series that was quite popular on Netflix, But yeah, I'm going to say what I have to say about The Witcher and kind of the pros and cons that I found in the story. And yeah, we'll go to The Witcher next, guys. Till next time.